Hello there, my lovelies. Welcome back to my channel, Boomy Reactions. Today, guys, I'm going to be checking out another one of Mr. Ballen's spooky stories. I absolutely cannot get enough of these. I was going to say I try and get one in every week, so I do a weekly session of these ghoulish stories, but I can't get enough of them, so I'm doing two this week. He is such an amazing storyteller. I don't know what it is, but his stories are so immersive. Admittedly, I'm easily immersed, so people tell me. But I just feel like I'm there. I think his abilities to tell stories are just fabulous. They're fantastic. They're so descriptive. The imagery that goes along with the videos doesn't hurt. I mean, if it makes the stories ridiculously more spooky. The last one that I just watched, the one with the cabin, genuinely left that with chills down my spine. It didn't keep me up in the night, so that was okay. But they're so spooky. Oh my gosh. So I was going through Mr. Ballen's catalogue of videos and I saw a title which caught my eye and I absolutely have to watch it with you. So this is called A Forest So Evil It's Illegal to Enter. Now, I'm drawn in with the title, but I don't know. I'm struggling to believe that that's why. It's not illegal because this forest is so unfortunate, spooky, dangerous. Maybe dangerous. Okay, I can get on board with that. But I don't know. No, Mr. Ballen's going to have to convince me why this forest is illegal, and so it's going to have to be more to it than it's just spooky and evil. What makes a forest evil? I'm immediately getting vibes of, like, you know, that forest from Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs with all the creepy looking branches and the faces. There's got to be more to it. Anyway, guys, I've done an awful lot of talking already. If you're enjoying these reactions as well, my lovelies, don't forget to like and subscribe. Thank you so much. If you're interested, I have a Buy Me a Coffee account, and that link is over here. And if you would like to help support my channel any further, I have a Patreon account, and if you want to check that out at all, that link is in the description below. Right, let's get spooky.
I have to start today's video with a disclaimer.
Oh?
Don't go to Dudley Town, Connecticut. This is not a prank, it's not a stunt, it's not clickbait. It's the truth. I'm confident that at the end of this video, there are going to be people that want to go. Don't.
Well, yeah. When you open with a disclaimer and a warning like that, I'd say 95% of viewers are going to go, well, I'm going to go. There is an ocean that keeps me from doing this, so it's not too bad. But Connecticut, Dudley Town, right, okay. Well, what's so spooky about this place?
Do it. One, it's illegal to go to Dudley Town. It's private property. And two, as you'll see in today's video, there is a reason why people abandoned Dudley Town. It is not a safe place for people. But before we get into the story about Dudley Town, if you're a fan of the strange, dark, and mysterious delivered in story format, then you've come to the right place, because that's all we do, and we upload once a week. So, if that's of interest to you, the next time the like button is playing an intense game of online FIFA, wait until they get the lead and then unplug their Wi-Fi. Also, please subscribe to our channel and turn on all notifications so you don't miss any of our weekly uploads, okay?
Okay, so they upload weekly, and I'm, at this rate, I'm watching them bi-weekly. Oh no, I'm going to run out of stories.
Okay, let's get into today's story.
Going, doesn't it? The original ghost town.
It was a bright summer day in 1906, and Dr. William C. Clark and his wife Harriet were driving slowly through a beautiful part of northwestern Connecticut called Litchfield County. Litchfield is a rural, very hilly area with lots of winding country roads.
Why have I heard of Litchfield County before? That the name of the prison in Orange is the Only Black? Is it called Litchfield County Prison? Is that where I've heard it before? I'm sure it's that. Isn't it a fictional prison? There's not really a prison there, is there? Off topic anyway.
And the Clarks were there to try to scout out an area to build their second home. The couple lived full-time in New York City, where Dr. Clark was an oncologist, which is a cancer doctor, and he was also a professor at the Columbia College of Physicians and Surgeons. And while the Clarks' lives were very exciting and fulfilling in the city, they were also very hectic and chaotic. And so the reason they had settled on Litchfield as the place to look for a location for their second home is because it was the total opposite of the city. It was quiet, it was peaceful, it was perfect. And so as this couple from New York City drove along these winding backcountry roads, they eventually reached this beautiful covered wooden bridge. And after they drove across it, they got this view up onto this mountainside off to their right. And high up on this mountain was this huge, shaded, beautiful forest. And they saw there was a road that appeared to kind of spider off and go into these woods. Now, the couple had no idea what was up there, but it was just so beautiful, and they were immediately so drawn to it that they decided they would go check it out and see if maybe there was a spot for their second home in these woods.
I was just going to say, almost as if they were drawn to it by unnatural forces.
And so Dr. Clark took the car and he went up this access road, and very quickly, as they began climbing up this hillside, the road became very bumpy and overgrown. It was pretty obvious that not many cars were driving into these woods. And so before they even reached the tree line, Dr. Clark had to pull the car over and park it on the side of the road. And then he and Harriet got out, and then on foot, they continued up towards the forest. And once the couple actually entered the forest, immediately the sunlight faded because the canopy over their heads was so thick, and the air became cool and refreshing.
And a mist crept its way between the branches and the trunks.
And after walking for only a couple of minutes, the forest, which at first seemed very still and quiet, suddenly became alive. They could hear birds chirping and animals running around and insects buzzing. And then up ahead, they saw there was this field off to the side of the road that was full of all these wild apple trees growing in all different directions.
Ooh, that sounds nice. So I know in the last video that I watched of Mr Ballen, I mentioned, I don't know how we came about it, but there's always like these kind of rules that we imagine exist that make us feel a little bit safer in spooky situations. Like they often apply to like horror films as well, don't they? Like, you know, if you've got your pet with you, you're okay. If you've got someone else with you, you're going to be okay. If it's daytime, it's fine. And the horror films that kind of shatter those rules and beliefs, I find particularly scary. That's it's almost like, I don't know, like breaking through those, and it's going to scare you anyway. So, sorry, it just made me think of that. When you can hear the birds chirping and you can hear animals around, it's okay. It's a creepy forest, but it's all right because the birds are still singing. And when the birds go quiet, that's when you need to kind of stop and reevaluate your next decision.
And as they got closer, they saw there was just a deer right in the middle of the apple trees eating apples directly off the branches. And then just past all these apple trees, the couple began passing these huge, beautiful patches of roses and lilacs and bright yellow bitter tansy flowers that lined the road. And then before long, the couple was stepping over these babbling brooks, and off in the distance, they could hear the sound of running water, like fresh spring water coming down off the mountain. And then as the sun did begin to poke through the canopy above them, it almost looked like the forest was sparkling, literally. This forest was sitting on a hillside, and the hillside, which was made up of rock, had mica inside of it. And mica is a kind of mineral that when sunlight hits it, it almost looks like it's shimmering. And of course, there were the owls.
I have not heard of that before. Mica, glistening mica.
As Dr. Clark and his wife walked farther and farther into this beautiful forest, they heard more and more owls hooting off in the distance. And to the Clarks, this made the forest feel enchanted. It was like the owls were personally greeting them. By the time the couple had turned around and begun
they are like that Snow White.
Heading back to their car, they had already made up their mind that they were going to build their second home in that forest. And so, after returning to their home in New York, they promptly put in the paperwork to purchase 1,000 acres inside of that Connecticut forest. And that forest had a name. It was called Dark Entry, and it was named that because it looked like from the outside, the forest was basically dark all the time. There was shade cast on it from mountains nearby, and then also the canopy inside of Dark Entry is exceptionally thick. At one time, there actually had been a town inside of Dark Entry Forest. However, all the people who had lived in that town were now all gone. The only remnants of this town were a couple of crumbling stone walls and a couple of home foundations that were scattered about the dark entry forest floor. The Clarks had seen some of these ruins as they walked along this overgrown path through the forest, but they weren't concerned. Instead, they felt like these ruins actually added some charm to the forest. After the land purchase was finalized, Dr. Clark began looking for local builders in Connecticut who could help him build this second home inside of Dark Entry Forest. But no matter how much money he offered these local Connecticut builders, they all said no. Now, none of them gave a straight answer to Dr. Clark about why they were turning him down. So Dr. Clark just kind of assumed that, hey, this project is not huge. It's just one house. And the forest is pretty isolated and hard to get to. And so he thought, probably these builders think it's not worth the effort. Yeah, but okay. Dr. Clark was not discouraged. He decided he would just build the house himself. After all, he was a very handy, competent guy who had grown up on a farm in New Jersey. And
can you imagine doing that these days, guys? It's all right, I'm just going to make my own house. I mean, the idea of it appeals to many people, but, in reality, most of us just don't have the skill set, do we?
So he knew how to build things. And so for the next several months, Dr. Clark would travel from New York City to Dark Entry Forest every weekend, and he would build this home. First, he cut down this massive swath of hemlock trees on this one flat patch of his land, and then with all this lumber he had cut down, he built his rustic two-story cabin on this flat part of his land. And then nearby on this hilltop, there was a freshwater spring at the top, and so he laid piping from the spring into his cabin so they could have fresh water. And then at the bottom of this nearby hill was this brook, and Dr. Clark loved just standing and watching this brook because inside of it were all these trout that would dart all around. And so Dr. Clark built a swimming pool with beautiful mossy embankments right up against this brook so he could sit there and watch the fish. By Thanksgiving of that year, the cabin was done, and so Dr. Clark and his wife Harriet, they stayed at the cabin to celebrate the holiday. And as they were sitting in their swimming pool watching the trout and listening to the owls hoot off in the distance, they both agreed that this second home was like their little piece of heaven. So every summer from there on out, and every major holiday that they could manage it, the Clarks would travel to their home in Dark Entry Forest, and they would swim and hike and relax, and they'd watch the leaves on the mountainside turn from green to bright yellows and oranges and reds.
Amazing.
It was perfect. That is, until 1918. That summer, the couple was in their second home in the forest when Dr. Clark was suddenly called back to New York to attend to a medical emergency. Harriet was very upset at the prospect of suddenly being left alone in this cabin in the middle of the forest by herself for who knows how many days. And so when she dropped her husband off at the nearby train platform, she made him promise that he would come back soon. And he said he would. And then Dr. Clark got on the train, it took off, and Harriet just stood there with her arms crossed, watching it as it chugged along off into the distance. From his comfortable seat on that train, Dr. Clark had no idea that his wife was about to endure a nightmare while he was gone.
Oh no! Sorry, guys. I had to cut that ad out, but that was hilarious. That is so fresh. Sorry. Okay, moving on.
When the Clarks bought their 1,000 acres in the Dark Entry Forest, they did virtually no research on the forest or the surrounding area. If they had, they very likely would not have purchased that land. You see, the town that used to be inside of the Dark Entry Forest, that was now just ruins that the Clarks saw when they first walked around inside of the forest, was abandoned for a very specific reason. It was cursed. At least that's what the locals say. And in fact, that was the reason why no builders in the area were willing to go with Dr. Clark into the forest to go build his house.
No, come on. It's not just that there's a curse. Something's happened. Like, have they all mysteriously, become ill, gravely ill? Have they all died? In mass numbers? It's got to be more than just saying it's cursed.
Because they were too scared to go anywhere near the ruins of this cursed town. This town, which was known as Dudley Town, was first settled sometime in the 1740s. At first, it was just a couple of people and a couple of small structures, but pretty quickly, 30 families had moved in, and it was a thriving little town. But as the 1700s came to a close, terrible things began to happen to residents of this town. First, there was the Carter family. They moved to Dudley Town in 1759, and shortly after arriving there, 6 members of their family all died suddenly from cholera. The remaining branch of the Carter family was so grief-stricken from their losses that they left Dudley Town and went to New York, where they...
That was a very educated guess, wasn't it? A cholera outbreak. It's claimed an awful lot of mass fatalities in early settlements like this. So, you know, rough kind of stab in the dark there. Not unusual at all, but you can't put that down to a curse. Come on, something else has got to happen.
Resettled, but almost immediately after getting set up there, Native Americans raided their property and massacred them. And the 3 people that survived this massacre were 3 of the kids, and they were all kidnapped and taken away. In 1792, a Dudley resident named Hollister died suddenly. Now, we don't know if he fell off a roof or if he was murdered. No one really knows. But what we can agree on is that his untimely death happened in the home of a man named Tanner. And Tanner, following Hollister's death, suddenly just began obsessively talking about these strange creatures he was seeing out in the woods at night, kind of roaming around the dark entry forest. And he talked about it all the time, and nobody listened to him. And eventually, Tanner went insane, and his daughter had to care for him for the rest of his life. And while Tanner was slowly losing his mind, his next-door neighbor, named Abel, also began reporting that he was seeing weird creatures roaming around the tree line all around the town. And as Abel continued to report seeing these strange creatures lurking in the shadows, he too slowly went mad and had to be cared for until his death. In the early 1800s, a famous Revolutionary War hero, General Herman Swift, who lived in Dudley Town, lost his mind shortly after his wife was struck by lightning. And then in 1813, an unknown epidemic rolled through Dudley Town and killed many of its residents.
You could probably, I think if you looked hard enough into it, I reckon you could probably find a reasonable explanation for the madness. They're all consuming food that's, you know, from the same farms, the same land. Maybe there's some kind of contamination of it. Maybe the water source has been contaminated. I don't know. Isn't one of the symptoms of lead poisoning going a bit doolally at the end? Or it could be explained. They're a small community. Maybe, I don't know, maybe it's all syphilis. I don't know. But I don't think that's the curse. I think, you know, like the cholera outbreak is going to kill an awful lot of people. Maybe there's something that one of the symptoms of it is madness.
After that, more and more residents of Dudley Town either died suddenly or died mysteriously, and also more and more residents began coming forward with stories about having seen these strange, shadowy creatures moving around the tree line at night. By about 1900, all the Dudley Town residents had either died or simply just left, abandoning their homes, except for one family, the Brophies. But in quick succession, the Brophy family's sheep all died, then the mother died of tuberculosis, then the 2 sons were accused of theft in a nearby town, and then they just disappeared, leaving one person, John Brophy, the father. But the Brophy family home burned to the ground, and so John, who was overcome with grief, just wandered off into the forest and was never heard from again.
Okay, I'll give you that. There's a lot of people to have met untimely demises and to have very, very unfortunate things happen in a short space of time, like generation after generation. Okay.
At that point, Dudley Town officially became a ghost town. No one lived there. And it was at that point, in 1906, when Dr. Clark and Harriet had their beautiful summer's day walk through the forest and discovered where they wanted to build their second home. So, fast forward back to 1918, and Dr. Clark, he's on his medical emergency leave to New York. It winds up being very quick. He's back on a train within 36 hours, and he pulls into the station right near Dark Entry Forest, and he's expecting to see Harriet waiting on the platform for him. But when the train rolled into the station, she wasn't there. Now, Dr. Clark was not a superstitious person, but for some reason, when he didn't see his wife there, he just felt like something was off. There's no reason she wouldn't have come out here to greet him.
Now, I'm guessing because, you know, John said here that he's not a particularly superstitious man. You know, he's very educated. He's a doctor. He's a man of science, of hard physical proof, and yeah. So something tells me that even if they knew about the land's history and the surroundings, I don't think that would have put them off, because he's going to write that off as just a series of unfortunate events, not necessarily a curse, unless, like I say, maybe there's more to the curse than it does. Like, you know, there's something in the water that's making everyone go a bit bananas.
I mean, she was worried about being all alone in the cabin, and she knew he was going to be arriving at that moment.
So you'd expect
and so,
to see her.
Feeling a little bit panicked, Dr. Clark left the train station and on foot made his way over to the Dark Entry Forest. And when he got there and began walking on that overgrown road path that led to his house, immediately, as soon as he was within the shade of the trees, he began hearing these owls hooting very loudly off in the distance. Now, normally, the sound of these owls hooting made him feel welcome, but this time he felt scared. He felt like something was wrong up ahead. And so he began jogging through the forest, and it's very dark, and all he can hear is the sound of these owls, and it's getting louder and louder and louder. And then finally he reaches the clearing where his property is. And at this point, it's a cacophony of owls hooting practically right on top of him. And he looks up towards his house up on this hill, and he sees the front door is slightly open. And so now, with his heart racing, wondering what's going on with his wife, Dr. Clark runs up to his front porch. He gets to the door and he flings it open the rest of the way. And then right before he stepped into his house, this sudden high-pitched noise began up on the second floor inside of his house. And it was so startling to Dr. Clark that he just froze where he was. And so suddenly it's so loud from the owls all around him and the woods behind him and whatever this noise is that he just stood there unsure what to do. And so as he's sitting there getting the courage up to go investigate his house, he realizes what this high-pitched noise is. It's the sound of maniacal, insane laughter coming from the second floor. Sensing his wife had to be in danger, the doctor charged up the nearby steps up to the second floor, and he could tell this laughter, this high-pitched laughter, was coming from the master bedroom. And so he ran down the short hallway. He got in front of the closed door that led into the master bedroom. He slowly opened it up, and there in the back corner of his room was his wife. She was on the ground, rolled up in a ball, facing the door. Her hands were clenched in fists, her eyes were open and unblinking, and her mouth was open wider than was humanly possible. And as he's staring at his wife, wondering what's going on, he realizes this insane, high-pitched laughter is coming from his wife. But it doesn't even look like it's coming out of her. Her chest is just heaving, her mouth is staying open, and the laughter is just coming out of her. And so the doctor just stood there watching his wife, who's staring directly at his eyes. And finally, he just got so scared, he turned and he ran. During Dr.
This is a doctor. This is a man of science and medicine. And I mean, I don't claim to be that educated in medicine and whatnot, but there's no explanation for that, is there really? Or, I don't know, maybe it kind of like a lockjaw kind of thing. Maybe she's in like a catatonic state. I don't know. Maybe wow. I mean, oh God, it reminds me of the film, The Ring. You know, with how the bodies are found looking like that with the mouths wide. Oh gosh, that's a scary memory. That's a scary sight. I wonder if they took any inspiration from this. Actually, no, it's Japanese, the original, isn't it? Maybe not. Anyway.
For Clark's 36 hours he was away in New York, something happened to his wife. We don't know what it was, but it caused her to lose her mind. The only thing she would talk about was the strange creatures she saw out in the forest.
Oh, she's talking
By
now.
some accounts, Harriet spent the rest of her life in a mental asylum. By other accounts, she went back with Dr. Clark to New York, where she took her life. Today, Dudley Town is not only still abandoned, but it is also illegal to visit. However, people do still sneak into Dudley Town and walk around the ruins, and many of them have reported feeling these pockets of cold air where there shouldn't be cold air, and also some others have said as they've been walking, they've felt phantom hands slap them and push them. Some have said they've taken photographs inside of the Dark Entry Forest near Dudley Town, and they've captured strange, shadowy figures that they couldn't see with their naked eye. The famous paranormal couple, Ed and Lorraine Warren, shot a special series in the 1970s inside of the Dark Entry Forest.
Oh my gosh, I have to read this. I love Ed and Lorraine Warren. The real life ghost hunters, really, aren't they? And clairvoyant. And they inspired the, oh my gosh, which films is it? Is it the Conjuring? Have I got the right universe? I have a book on these two. Honestly, I love reading about their stories.
And they declared the area around Dudley Town was demonically possessed.
Well, if they said it was.
So that's going to do it. If you got something out of this episode and you haven't done this already, the next time the like button is playing an intense game of online FIFA, wait until they take the lead and then unplug the Wi-Fi. Also, please subscribe to our channel and turn on all notifications so you don't miss any of our weekly uploads. We have a podcast called the Mr. Ballen Podcast that puts out brand new exclusive stories on Monday mornings, and on Thursday mornings, we put out the remastered audio of our best YouTube videos. Again, the podcast is called the Mr. Ballen Podcast, and it is available exclusively on Amazon Music. Consider donating to our charity. It's called the Mr. Ballen Foundation, and it provides support to victims of violent crime as well as their families. Monthly donors to the Mr. Ballen Foundation Honor Them Society will receive free gifts and exclusive invites to special live events. Go to mrballen.foundation and click on Get Involved to join the Honor Them Society today. We have 2 additional YouTube channels, Mr. Ballen Shorts and Mr. Ballen en Espanol. We also post near daily content on Facebook, TikTok, and Snapchat. All of those pages are just called Mr. Ballen. If you want to get in touch with me, please follow me on any major social media platform and then send me a direct message. My username is just @MrBallen, and I really do read the majority of my DMs. Check out our merch at shopmrballen.com, and if you have a story suggestion, please submit it to our subreddit just called Mr. Ballen. It's linked in the description below. So whether I see you on Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, Reddit, YouTube, Facebook, other YouTube channels, the podcast, wherever, just know that I really appreciate your support, and until next time, that's going to do it. See ya.
See ya.
I
need to check out his Facebook on the podcast. Oh my gosh. Ooh. I need to check them out. More horror stories, more ghostly tales. I love it. I can't get enough of them. This one was a little bit shorter than the other stories normally are. So, it's that image of his wife. Oh, that's going to stay with me for like a month. The mouth being open. It reminds me of how they find the bodies on the ring. It is the ring, isn't it? Yes, it's the ring. Yes, it's the ring. Yeah, it's the ring. Yeah, it's the ring. Oh, yes, it is. Yeah, really, really creepy. Oh my gosh. Like I say, it sounds almost like, because she's not deceased at this point. She's still there. She's still living. So maybe it was like some kind of catatonic state, which I would normally associate with schizophrenia if it's a catatonic state. Maybe you guys have a debunking explanation for that. That's my hypothesis. I like the stories when you can take like educated guesses as to explanations for them. I think that's a bit of a entertaining factor in itself. But that's my theory. What do you think? Let me know in the comments, guys. Always enjoy reading those. Thank you for taking the time. For everyone who does leave comments, thank you very much, my lovelies. Well, guys, I hope that had you thoroughly chilled to the bone. It's the image that I'm left with of his wife that's creeped me out the most. So why is it's still illegal? Because it's private property. So who owns all of that property? And why would you keep hold of that land to not do anything with it? I'm confused. If anyone knows the answers, please let me know. Again, it's very interesting. But yeah, that doesn't make sense to me. Why would you own the land and nothing comes from it? You don't really utilize it. You're not developing it. Maybe you're selling it for result. I don't know. Anyway, guys, thank you very much for watching along with me. Take care of yourselves, my lovelies, and I will see you on the next video. Bye-bye.